Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 49 coming at you another community shoutcast for the OUSA Dota League Season 1. Just loading into Game 2 of Team Struggle up against Team Blink. Blink were able to execute a perfect Blitzkrieg Deathball strategy with the Lycanthrope as well as the Nature's Prophet. Zeke played absolutely out of his mind the Nature's Prophet. Just going to quickly log out of Steam just so I don't get any message from players. What were your thoughts on the first game there, Ghouly?
With you in just a moment, just logging out of Well, yeah, I mean, it was not quite what I expected. It was pretty one-sided.
Hopefully Struggle are going to show that they're down, but they're not out. They might be able to turn this around to an upset draw. First man coming up from Struggle.
They'll need to do something different again. You know, I think the aggressive trilane would have worked better against what they were facing.
Yeah, they definitely should have punished the fact that they had a Chen jungling, but instead chose to match Greed for Greed with that Doombringer. The jungle Doombringer really didn't actually accomplish anything. By the time he came online, the game was already too far gone. So hopefully we might see an aggressive trilane coming out from the boys in Struggle.
Yeah, Nature's Prophet just got so much more out of it than Mirana as well.
Yeah, he was able to
will.
out-CS the Gyrocopter, which is completely absurd. I don't really know what was happening. Oh, actually, we've got a disconnect coming up from Brightside, New Zealand. Actually, it looks like they screwed up the lobby, so we're just going to have a quick remake. Bear with me. Occasionally, these things do happen. Just going to quickly log back into Steam in case I get messages from either captains. Oop. Alrighty, so just loading back in, waiting in the lobby, just gonna wait for my co-caster. Turns out it was a bit unfortunate, they screwed up who got first pick. So it looks like Blink get first pick this time. So just waiting for all the players to load back in. For those of you watching, this is game number 2 of Struggle up against Team Blink. Team Blink were able to execute an excellent Deathball push strat, the Lycanthrope, as well as the Nature's Prophet. I think it was something like a 20-minute GG. Pretty standard coming out from Flash. He really loves that Lycanthrope. As well as Zeke, he plays an absolutely phenomenal Nature's Prophet. Was able to out-CS the farming Gyrocopter in lane. Wasn't really too sure how he was able to do that. I assume it must have been because the Keeper of the Light chose to max out Mana Leak, so they're going for a much more aggressive build from that Gyrocopter, using that Mana Leak to hold the Nature's Prophet in place for that homing missile. And so, Ghouly, you loaded back into the game? Never mind, he hasn't. Just going to wait for my co-caster to jump back in. I'm being joined by Ghouly, the carry player for Team BambiRising, up in Group 2. And so, Blink Dota, they get first pick this time, so it'll be interesting to see who they choose to ban out, considering the fact that in the last game, they let Invoker through the Struggle banned out Visage and the Ancient Apparition, so Invoker was able to slip through. This time will be interesting to see who they choose to ban out. Ghouly, are you there?
10 seconds remaining.
Okay, could be having a few issues on the co-caster front. I'm just going to quickly log out of Steam. Once again, I think he jumped into the broadcaster slot with me, so he could have just not loaded into the game yet. So first ban coming out from Blink Dota is the Mirana. Diablos did play a pretty good Mirana. He wasn't able to create as much impact as he would have liked, as the support players on Blink Dota were always prepared for the Moonlight Shadow, carrying Dust and Sentries with them. First ban Invoker, respect ban up against Snow, who played an absolutely phenomenal Invoker, and second respect ban coming out from Blink Dota, banning out Brightside, New Zealand's favorite hero, that Tinker. So hesitating a bit on that second ban for Struggle. Team Struggle are in a bit of a pickle when it comes to drafting against Blink, as I know that if they ban out the Ancient Apparition, they'll pick up Visage. If they ban out Visage, they'll pick up the Ancient Apparition. So they don't want to give away one or the other, so it's whichever one they feel they're more comfortable against. I know Yoshi plays a phenomenal Visage and a really great Ancient Apparition. He's actually probably sick of playing AA. That's all he's been playing for the past few games. I'm just going to quickly log back to Steam, figure out what's happening with my co-caster. Oh, he's actually signed off from Steam. Never mind. I think he's... Just gonna make sure he's in. Oh, okay, it turns out his mic is having a few issues. Alrighty. So I'm just gonna log back out of Steam. And so Ember Spirit first pick up. Snow loves Ember Spirit just because he fits his kind of playstyle. High speed, high aggression. The mobility coming out from the Fire Remnant enables you to zip in, initiate kills with the standard build right now being 1 point up in the Searing Chains, 1 point up in the Slate of Fist, just to set up the Searing Chains, and then maxing out that Flame Guard. Pretty conventional build. I know Sing Sing sometimes likes to go for maxing out Searing Chains and Slate of Fist, completely disregarding Flame Guard. He does that because he's balls to the wall and he's a bit crazy. The reason why you want to pick up 1 point in both the Q and the W is while you're engaging in Slate of Fist, you can drop the Searing Chain, so it's a great way to be able to use it without having to invest one of your remnants. It drastically increases your laning presence as well. Timbersaw is the first pickup coming out from Struggle. Very strong tri-lane hero, but the drawback with Timbersaw is at level 1, in a 1v3 situation, he actually has nothing he can do if the supports play very aggressively. Visage coming out, so Yoshi will be playing that Visage. Could be seeing a Vengeful Spirit picked up for Blink Dota. DDY played an absolutely fantastic Vengeful Spirit in that last game, was able to pick up a very early Arcane Boots and punish the players over on the Radiant side. Always called out Tiggle Biddies up on that Gyrocopter with that swap. And with the Sprout and the Sunstrike coming out from the Exiled Invoker, was able to bring them down. Third ban, Nyx. Pretty standard ban, especially with a hero like a Crystal Maiden, with that Frost Nova as well as the Frost Bite to help set up Nyx's open wounds and give him all the time he needs to beat people down. Nyx is a very scary hero to deal with. Also means that your support heroes are forced to pick up either Ghost Scepters, Force Staffs, or both if they want to deal with the Lifestealer, and that means that's items drawing away from the early mech that they could need instead, the early medallion pickup for the Visage, and most importantly the Aghanim Scepter upgrade for Visage. Third ban, that Weaver, especially with the fact that Weaver works really well with Visage because he has such excellent time on target. With Sakuchi, he has a free haste rune, as well as the extra damage you get from passing through them, and with Gemini attack, it's like a pseudo double damage rune. You have a 0.5 crit built in, as every third or fourth hit will proc another one. A lot of damage coming out from them. Outworld Destroyer banned out by Blink Dota, recognizing he's one of those heroes that completely shuts down Ember Spirit. We could see the boys from Struggle go for a counter pick with that Viper. Kin Killer from Horseman of the Ruckus was able to completely destroy the Ember Spirit, picked up against them. I believe it was against TYK in game number 1. He was able to play a fantastic game, clear MVP, really showcasing the power of Viper, especially against heroes like the Ember Spirit. Viper himself also does have his own counters, especially Silencer, who they picked up in another series up against SNB. The fact that Viper only has one spell, which is his ultimate, means that Curse of the Silent completely ruins Viper, as well as the fact that he's got no way to interrupt the last word, so he'll constantly be disarmed and taking a lot of damage from the dot. Juggernaut picked up, so a very strong early to mid game carry, relies on having an item advantage over the other carry if he wants to fight. But with that Omni Slash is incredibly potent. Naga Siren picked up as a counter to the Juggernaut, as when he blade spins, Naga Siren can hold him in place with that snare. Also works very well to Visage, as Visage provides all the damage you need from the two support heroes. But what he's lacking is lockdown, ways to cancel TPs, ways to hold people in place outside of the Grave Chill. And that's what Naga Siren provides in bucket loads. As well as that, you've also got the Riptide, which reduces armor, which synergizes well with Visage, as his Grave Shield gives him 64% attack speed, so he's able to land in a few last hits while it's happening. Another respect ban coming up from Struggle. Flash over on that Lycan played out of his mind, was able to push down towers every time you leave him alone. He's worse than Brood Bunny because he pushes far faster and offers a lot more teamfight power, just for the fact that he could press R and run you down. Tidehunter picked up as the other support hero, so it looks like a duo of Crystal Maiden and Tidehunter. Tidehunter is a bit of an interesting support pickup. One of the reasons why he's not so effective and hasn't been picked up so much is he is countered by heroes like Rubik, unless you always catch Rubik out with that Ravage, especially with the travel time being nerfed in recent patches. He's able to steal it and return it back to you. All he has to do is press R and press R once again and drop that Ravage back against your own team. As well as the fact that Tidehunter is heavily dependent on his ultimate. When Ravage is down, his teamfight power is completely neutered. All he has is Gush and Anchor Smash, which are good spells, but aren't quite enough to cut it. Ravage, however, is one of the best counter-initiation spells in the game, so they do have that going for them. Especially with the fact that you've got Naga Siren, who can initiate with the song. So in this case, with the roaming duo Crystal Maiden and the Tidehunter, they've got the slow coming out from the Gush, the DPS from the Anchor Smash, as well as the Frostbite to hold them in place. They don't have any true CC, but the amount of soft CC coming out from the Snare and the negative armor from the Gush could prove to be enough to bring heroes down before they can respawn. Clockwork picked up as their offlaner, incredibly powerful hero just because he's so hard to dislodge. With Cogs, 5 seconds at level 1, there's no way to really effectively dive on him unless if Clockwork messes up and Cogs a hero such as a Luna in with him, or if he's up against someone like a lone druid who doesn't really care since the bear's always going to be on your ass anyway. And so Ember Spirit in the mid lane, support duo of Visage and Naga Siren. I don't
Reserve
think
time.
Blink Dota like to go for that carry Naga Siren or save or farming Naga Siren, so it most likely will be a support duo of Visage and Naga Siren, so that means that their 5th pick is their tri-lane carry. So that opens up the draft a lot, as there are only so many carry heroes you could ban out. Probably would be seeing something like a Luna, so I'd like to see struggle banning out that Luna. Especially if they decide to clash Tri-v-Tri, as Crystal Maiden, one of her biggest weaknesses is she's incredibly slow, incredibly fragile if focused. And with Visage to catch her out of position with that Grave Chill, with the Ensnare coming up from Naga Siren and the Soul Assumption, the last thing you want to give Blink Dota is another form of nuke to be able to bring people down from long range, as well as the DPS coming out from the Lunar Blessing. Gyrocopter banned from Struggle, very interesting considering I don't think Blink Dota have ever drafted Gyrocopter, at least this year they haven't. He's fallen heavily out of favor, considering that Luna with her glaives can effectively do what Gyrocopter does with his flat cannon, isn't dependent on cooldowns like the Gyrocopter, and the Eclipse offers a lot more solo killing power than Gyrocopter with his cooldown.
Remaining.
We saw the Gyrocopter pickup in the last game wasn't too effective. He does have an awful lot of damage potential with that rocket barrage, but since he has to get right on top of you before he can start to damage you with it, you can bring him down before that. He needs that BKB to be able to maneuver himself in these fights, and Luna can effectively do everything he does, but it tends to be a safer pickup. So 5th ban coming up from Struggle, they want to ban out mid lane heroes, unless if it's a Tidehunter mid. Tidehunter is being picked up for mid and off lanes. He does do pretty good in a 1v1 situation. Against a hero like Ember Spirit, I'd probably have to hand the advantage to him, just because with that Flame Guard, he can tank all the Anchor Smashes coming out. Just going to quickly log back in to see if Ghouly's able to fix his mic. Never mind, he's still offline. And we've got a Meepo pick coming as the 5th pick from the Struggle, so it looks like a mid Meepo. Most likely going to be played by Brightside New Zealand. He has phenomenal micro, especially on that Naga Siren, has that miracle level Naga Siren micro going on. Also plays a fantastic Phantom Lancer. I believe he must have been a StarCraft 2 player, because from the way he plays, from his APM, and the way his mouse movements and mouse click patterns go, probably going to have to put my money on him playing StarCraft at least at one point in his life. Very good with his micro nonetheless. So Blink Dota, they've got all the time in the world to pick up their carry. It's probably throwing them by a bit. Meepo is a great counter pick to the Ember Spirit, as Ember Spirit's Searing Chains will hit the first 2 random targets in a huge 400 AoE. Meepo, it doesn't really matter if you lock one of them down, as also a good, pretty decent pick against Luna as well, since the Eclipse will bounce around back and forth between the Meepos. With that 35% magic resistance, Meepo is actually surprisingly tanky. Once you survive the early game, get that Aghanim Scepter upgrade, and start building towards something like a heart. It's incredibly difficult to kill Meepo with that 35% magic reduction, so you can just face roll your team and beat you down. Diablos looks like he's going to be their offlane player once again. Played a pretty good run in the last game, was able to secure a solo kill up against Flash, did pay for it with his life, but more than happy to take that trade. 2 gold biddies on that Juggernaut, he's their safe lane farm. Played Gyrocopter in the last game, this time going for that Juggernaut. Spooky Scary Skeleton over on that Tidehunter, so he's going to be in that support duo. With Crystal Maiden being played by, I believe, Seas to Cheese. Over on the Dire side, they have a very rigid player roster. All their players have a set role, so Zeki over as the offlaner. On the Clockwork, they're actually choosing to clash Tri-v-Tri this time. Yoshi on that support. Visage, Flash, their carry player over on the Luna, one of the safest carry players in the ODL1. Always plays textbook. They've got a few mic issues on their end. DDY playing that Naga Siren, and Snow up on one of his favorite heroes, that Ember Spirit. Actually, I don't think he's been... Wow, he's very confident. He's just going for 2 Ironwood branches. Hasn't even been pulled in tangos. I'd assume Yoshi's going to pull him a tango or 2, just to ensure he has that means of being a secure farm. But since he's up against that Meepo, I guess he's going to be feeling pretty confident. He knows Brightside New Zealand is their mid player, and he's going to be up on that Meepo. Starting off with Quelling Blade. Usually, I don't like Quelling Blade as a pickup, just because on a lot of melee heroes, Stout Shield is preferable, since you should be confident enough in your CSing abilities to be able to snag last hits, and you want to worry more so about the harassment you're going to take from other ranged heroes who could punish you for going for a Quelling Blade instead. But Meepo does have excellent base armor, and since he doesn't need to build a bottle, Quelling Blade actually is a pretty good pickup on him. With the recent change to the Meepo, so he has Divided We Stand at level 3, one of the things we've noticed is Meepo at level 2 actually holding onto his skill point. So getting 1 point up in poof, holding onto his skill point at 2, and once he hits level 3, going for a point in his ultimate, and then getting for a 2nd point up in poof. If you have another hero, such as a Crystal Maiden, to lead him with the Frostbite, and the Crystal Nova and the Frostbite to hold him in place, double poof combination, 200 AoE magic damage coming up from a level 3 Meepo, can lead to a very easy kill. One of the drawbacks, however, of the fact of Meepo, and one of the reasons why he's such a risky hero, is if you kill any of the Meepos, they all die. And so the AoE power coming out from Team Blink, as well as a single target Hang on, just gonna message ghouly. I hear you. Not too sure what happened there. Ghouly was my co-caster for game number 2. It could have possibly been a bit of a mishap. In that case, that is a bit of a pity. I'm not actually too sure what happened. For any of the other players on any other teams that are watching right now, if you are a mid player or a drafter or the captain for your team, and you would like to co-cast, please do message me in advance when you're not playing a game. I'm more than happy to have a rotation of co-casters happening. I know from Team Blink, I've had Flash, the carry player, as well as Yoshi, occasionally co-cast with me. Over on Team Struggle, I've had Brightside New Zealand co-cast with me for 1 game. So I am very happy to enable people to just jump in, co-cast, get a bit of a different perspective from each of the different teams. I've got Ghouly from Team BambiRising as a co-caster with me right now, although we seem to be having mic issues, but he was in on game number 1, so hopefully we should be able to resolve this. At any rate, looks like it's just turned into a solo cast, as I'm not too sure what's happened with my co-caster Ghouly. He's disconnected, going to reconnect back in, see if that might help out. So we've got Timbersaw up, going up against the Clockwork. I'd have to give the advantage to Clockwork, just because with that cog harassment, he could push back Timbersaw and burn his mana pool, which is the most important thing, is Timbersaw is completely dependent on his mana in order to be able to lane, as he wants to spam out that Whirling Death to be able to keep the other hero low enough so they can't go on him. Battery Assault also shuts down Timber Chain, as with that recent nerf to Timbersaw, if he's stunned or interrupted during Timber Chain, it won't proc, so it gets rid of his mobility. It means he's actually very easy to bring down. Timbersaw has 0 armor and average magic resistance of 25%, so he's actually not too bad to bring down. Looks like we've got some mic issues over on the Radiant side. Not really too sure what's happening with them. Hopefully they should be able to fix it. They can hear him, apparently he just can't hear them. Keeping in mind with Meepo though, with that 35% base magic resistance, as well as his high starting armor. Oh, Ghouly's just reconnected in. Ghouly, can you hear me? Try saying something, Ghouly. Never mind. Looks like it's going to be a solo cast there with Ghouly, my silent co-caster, just occasionally pinging things out. Bit unfortunate, but what can you do? Tidehunter leveling up Gush at 1. It will be interesting to see if he chooses to max out Anchor Smash or max out Gush. In terms of overall DPS, maxing out Anchor Smash is superior, especially as it's AoE, but maxing out Gush does have its benefits, as it increases the negative armor it provides. Could be one of the players from Struggle restarting Steam just to make sure that he's able to fix his mic issues. Yoshi offering his 2 cents. I know the players from Blink Snow's computer seems to crash a lot, since apparently Windows 8 has a bug with Skype. I think the players from Team Struggle are all computer science students, so hopefully they should be able to fix it up. C's to cheese, disconnecting, just gonna reset everything, make sure things are working out again. Hopefully they should get this sorted and have the show on the road. But at any rate, it gives us a time for both teams to be able to strategize and figure out what they're going to do. So just going to wait for Crystal Man to reconnect back into the game. Ember Spirit, he could choose to actually max out Sleight of Fist up against that Meepo, use that form of physical DPS to harass him back. The thing with Ember Spirit is he's got a pretty flexible skill build. One of the things to keep in mind though is Siren Chains, your primary lockdown skill. You want to get 3 points into it as soon as you can, just because it increases the lockdown from 2 seconds to 3 seconds, as well as doubling the damage from 120 at level 1 to 240 at level 3. Sleight of Fist you want to max out by the time team fights and big ganks start happening, just because it's a pseudo Omni Slash. It lets you hit every member of their team, can do a surprising amount of damage, and the fact that you have the cooldown reduction as well as the increase in AoE makes it that much easier if you land your Searing Chains once you throw out your Sleight of Fist. Flame Guard is a pretty good skill. It's essentially a free pipe as well as a free radiance. You ideally want to max it out as quickly as possible when you're against a magic heavy lineup, just because it mitigates so much damage and provides you the highest overall DPS, as I think it's something like 60 DPS per second. Yeah, 60 DPS, so it's doing more damage than the radiance, lasts for 20 seconds as well, so it actually does stack up to be quite a lot of damage. You're running alongside them, you don't even have to be hitting them. So long as you're close enough to them for Flame Guard to proc, you can just run people down. And so ideally, since he's going to be up against that Meepo, fearing that poof, he probably will be choosing to max out that Flame Guard. That AoE DPS is also fantastic against another melee mid-hero, such as, for instance, Ember Spirit up against Pudge. Ember Spirit wins hands down just because of the fact that every time Pudge wants to go in for CS, he's eating the Flame Guard damage whenever it's up. If he hooks him in, the Flame Guard will completely mitigate all the damage coming up from Rot. And if Pudge also wants to use Rot to be the CS, which is what a lot of pro Pudge players like to do, they toggle Rot just for a split second to get that extra burst of damage, follow up with a right click, and then stop again. And it turns out the advice from Yoshi works, so Yoshi's been called MVP. Brightside New Zealand calling it right now, although considering the fact that Yoshi's playing Visage, one of the strongest heroes, he most likely will be MVP unless Snow decides to be that glory hog. I think the two actually play right next to each other as well. They're in the same flat, and I think their desks overlook each other, so probably some heated team action going on in their end. Can imagine if it's anything like me and Jamie when we play Dota, they'll be screaming at each other. So we've got a quick rotation coming in through the jungle. They're going to scout it out with Luna leveling Luna Blessing at level 1. The plus 14 extra base damage for all the heroes means that they hit pretty goddamn hard, and with that Grave Chill and most likely the Riptide, never mind Wet Runes now, they've got more than enough damage coming out just from their right clicks, as most level 1 ganks tend to be dictated not by skills but by just you right clicking them down. So that's why heroes like Venomancer with that excellent snare are so effective. It should be interesting to see though how Diablos fares up against Z. Over on that Clockwork, Zeki is an absolutely phenomenal offlane player. His Nature's Prophet in the last game was on point, completely decimated the boys over in Struggle, just because he was able to get so much for so little. Brightside New Zealand going in for those blocks, double damage spawning on the bottom lane. I don't think he was spotted out. Blink Dota actually haven't placed any wards over on the runes. They've placed in a highly aggressive ward back here to spot out what the players are doing, so give them time to dive them if they want to. But no rune wards placed so far. Very interesting. They've already got sentries up. Yoshi most likely will be hanging back over here. He's going to place that pub safety ward over there to provide vision, both of the rune as well as potential rotations. Going in for a few hits on Spooky Scary Skeleton. Tidehunter's a pretty tanky dude though, so he's more than happy to take a few hits. Sees the cheese, he's the one that's going to be careful. The key to playing a good Crystal Maiden is you want to hang as far back as possible. Diablo is eating the Battery Assault at level 1 from Zeki, copying a lot of damage. Looks like a Grave Chill was thrown out over in the bottom lane. Take old biddies, catching a bit of damage. Yoshi's hanging back. Never mind, he chose to scale Soul Assumption level 1. Knows that he has enough lockdown coming out from the Ensnare. Huh, I thought I saw a debuff up on Juggernaut, never mind. Reactive Armor up on Timbersaw, so he's more than happy to trade. Last hits, as well as damage up against that Clockwork. Zeki already leading the way at 5 for 1. Timbersword pops that Welling Death, is able to get 2 CS and catch out Clockwork. Clockwork actually catches himself in with the Battery Assault though, but that's working out to his favor, as Diablos is tanking hits, interrupts Timbersword's casting point. Welling Death has 0 cast animation though, so he's able to use that to get a second Welling Death off on Clockwork. If he clipped a tree, would have been pure damage, would have done a lot more, but nonetheless he should be fine. Timbersword most likely going to be choosing to max out that Welling Death, use that as his lane control spell up against that Clockwork. But Zeki leading the CS scoreboards at 7 for 1 for his team, with Snow at 6 for 1. Brightside New Zealand, he's already got his first Meepo up. He's sending it into the jungle to do some stacking and some pulling. And yeah, he's going for that poof build, so holding onto his skill point at level 2. Picking up second point up from poof. It's called out, immediately poofs on Snow, who went in with that Searing Chain, and he's copying a lot of damage. That's the power of Meepo coming out right there. A lot of players tend to disregard Meepo or underestimate just how much damage he does with poof, because he's a hero that either does absolutely godlike or is absolutely useless, and in pub games it tends to be the latter, never the former. So he's actually having a bit of difficulty CSing on the tower, but with the fact that they actually don't know where the rune spawned, they don't have any rune wards placed. Flash eating a lot of damage with that Gush, as well as the Crystal Nova. Sees the cheats called out of position though. Grave Chill, Soul Assumption flies up from Yoshi. That's going to be first blood. That's the thing you have to be careful with as a Crystal Maiden. You always want to hang around in range to use your spells, as you've got a 900 AoE coming out. And over in the middle lane, Ember Spirit actually gets a kill over on Meepo. Looks like he might have gone a bit too far forward, called out the Searing Chain, as well as the Flame Guard. Looks like Ember Spirit's choosing to max out Searing Chains. And Brightside New Zealand being outplayed by Snow. Level 5 now up on him compared to level 4 Meepo. That level advantage could prove to be quite significant, as if he's able to catch level 6 before Meepo does. He's got his Fire Guard. He's got his Fire Remnant up, sorry, so he knows that it's a bottom lane rune now. He's rotating over. That's the issue with the Crystal Maidens. You have to play almost like a DDY's called out position, is going to ease his way through that tree, so he should be fine. You have to play almost like an Earth Shaker, hand back in range, just so you can throw out your spells. You never want to be close enough to hit. Spooky Scary Skeleton copying a lot of damage with that. Instead, Grave Jill, Lucent Beam, the Soul Assumption, he goes down. That's the pure damage coming out from Team Blink. It's the combination. That's the reason why Luna is such a strong tri-lane carry hero, is the fact that she has that 700 range Lucent Beam, which does so much damage, especially in conjunction with Visage. A bit surprising they didn't ban out that Luna. Brightside New Zealand sends one of his Meepos over to lend a helping hand as well as to leak some EXP. Throws out that Earthbind. Meepo's cast point for Earthbind has been increased from 0.5 to 0.3, so it is a lot easier to land now. And the range is increased at all levels, so it's 500 at level 1, 750 at level 2, and goes up to 1.25k. So it actually is quite a potent skill. Usually Meepo players tend to get 2 points up in Earthbind, and then max out the Geostrike afterwards. We see him actually called out with the double damage Slay the Fist into Searing Chains. Isn't long enough duration to be able to bring him down though. Brightside New Zealand immediately poofs it to the Meepo in for a bit of backup, as well as some moral support. Turning around Snow, recognizing he doesn't actually have any mana. First poof, clips him. No points up in Geostrike though, so they're not going to be doing enough right click damage to be able to bring him down. Another thing to keep in mind with Geostrike is because it stacks with each Meepo, it actually is a surprising amount of DPS. Spooky Scary Skeleton moving up, gushes Flash. Flash turns around and says, mate, what the hell are you doing? Sees the cheats, goes a bit too far forward again. He's going to take a fall. It's a Soul Assumption, Riptide, and a Lucent Beam. This Crystal Maiden pickup really isn't working out too well against the aggressive tri-lane from Blink. The issue with Tidehunter is as a melee tri-lane support hero, outside of his gush, he really doesn't offer all too much. He's not going to be the right-click people down, unlike the Visage with 600 rage, and unlike the Luna with a high mobility, as well as the 325 movement attack range, sorry. Blink Snow throws out his Remnant. He's going to run back to base. That's the Fire Remnant abuse I was talking about. You drop a Remnant, TP you back home, you use your bottle, get full bottle charges, reach it back up to full. The instant you back up to full, you zip back to your Remnant. Saves you having to TP back. He's picked up Arcane Boots. I know Snow actually prefers Arcane Boots over Phase Boots, and the reason for that is Ember Spirit has such a limited mana pool. Every time you use his ultimate, it costs 150 mana, regardless of how many Remnants you drop. So having Arcane Boots means that you can use your ult to initiate into fights, and then use your ult to back away. Instead of being forced to use your ultimate once, if you go for the Phase Drum build, you only have enough mana to be able to use your ultimate one time, so you're going to most likely be using it to engage or to disengage, never for both, as otherwise it restricts your mana pool, so you can't follow up with a secondary Searing Chains in case you need it, or that secondary Slay the Fist. Got 2 points up in Searing Chains. Most likely we'll be seeing that third point up to increase the lockdown from 2 to 3 seconds, so that's that critical point, and then after that he can choose to completely disregard it and max out his Flame Guard. Popping Flame Guard right now, goes over the Slay the Fist and Searing Chain combination on Brightside New Zealand, immediately poofs back in. 1 point up in that Geostrike. Snow does not want to dive against it. Brightside New Zealand having a bit of a difficult start. Snow has been playing fantastically against him. He's going to hit level 7 though, so he'll have that second Meepo up and then belt. Snow drops his Arcane Boots. Very cocky play coming out from him. While he uses his bottle, that's just to increase his efficiency. As the lower your percentage of your mana pool is, the more you regenerate while that's happening. It's similar with the concept with tread switching. Tiggle, but he's called out with the ensnare. Spins, but spin doesn't go through ensnare as it's a physical thing. DDY copying a lot of the blade spin damage. He's going to eat a Soul Assumption and Lucent Beam, and that's that 1-2 punch coming out from Blink. Crystal Maiden called out position. Now sees the cheese is going to take a fall as well as another Lucent Beam up on Flash. Yoshi doesn't have any mana, but he's just there for the right clicks and the moral support, and Flash carries through with another kill. Tri-lane of Team Struggle is falling apart. The hyper-aggression coming out from Blink. They're much better coordinated, and their heroes are superior in this case, as Crystal Maiden really depends on having another support hero that could pick up her slack and can provide what she lacks, which is that lockdown, that burst damage. Tidehunter, I guess, would be better in the teamfight situation, but unlike a Vengeful Spirit, since he's a melee hero, he's not going to be able to output as much damage. He's choosing to max out that Anchor Smash, so he can do a surprising amount of damage, and he is left alone. But the fact that they could just completely shrug off Tidehunter right now, he doesn't even have boots, so by the time he gets in range to start Anchor Smashing people, it's not going to be all too effective. Timbersaw is dominating this Clockwork. He's had his Arcane Boots for 2 minutes, for about a minute and a half faster than Zeke. He's just picked this up right now. Rotating back into the top lane with 3 points up in that Willing Death, 2 points up in that Reactive Armor, as well as that Chakram. Very difficult to bully out of lane. Brightside New Zealand, he's going to have his third Meepo, sorry, coming up in a few more seconds. Don't actually know if it's level 7 or level 11. I think it might be level 11 where you get the third Meepo. I can never keep up with the changes in his ultimate. Snow copying a tower hit to the face. Meepo constantly rotating around. He's going for that Aghanim Scepter Rush, starting with that point booster. Very cost efficient HP and mana pool pickup for him. DDY and Yoshi rotating over. Snow caught out of position, eats the Earthbind as well as the double proof, but he's immediately turns around. He knows that he has support, and Snap flies out over on DDY. He's gonna die. He's trying to poof his way out. Does a lot of damage, but in the end goes down. Diablos comes in. He's out for blood. He's gonna be able to kill off Snow without welling death. Kills off Snow. Might be the kill off Yoshi as well. Timber chases himself back to safety. DDY just barely escapes. Good rotation coming up from Diablos. At least able to make it a trade for 1-for-1. But once again, lack of support rotation coming out. You see Zeki's rotated to the bottom lane. Uses the cogs to push back Sees the Cheese twice. Pushes back Spooky Scary Skeleton twice. Burning off his entire mana pool. So he can't do anything. This is the reason why Clockwork is so difficult to deal with. He's actually chosen not to go for any points in the Rocket Flare. Very clever skill build choice from him, recognizing that since he's up against the Timbersaw, he wants to get that second point up in the cogs to be able to push him back and drain his mana. That's the only way he's going to stand a prayer against him. Snow jumps in, Spooky Scary Skeleton, eats the Blade Spin coming out from Tig Old Biddies. Zeki's hanging around the backhand with that hook shot just in case if he has an option. He hook shots in. Cogs just went off cooldown, only catches out Spooky Scary Skeleton, but pushes back Tig Old Biddies. He doesn't have any mana to help out. Snow continuing to dive, catches out 2 with the Searing Chain, sees the Cheese, is hanging around. He's going to use his Remnant to actually get that kill. Sees the Cheese, can't really do anything. Throws out the Crystal Nova, eats the Soul Assumption, and takes one more right click from Yoshi. Yoshi, MVP, able to get a kill. But over in the top lane, Meepo actually secures a kill on Flash, ends Killing Spree with the help of Diablos. But their bottom lane, their trilane is completely fallen apart. Excellent aggression coming up from Snow, recognizing that he's going to use the damage from the Fire Remnant to finish them off. Spooky Scary Skeleton jumping back in. Zeki, fantastic recognition coming up from him. Throws out the Gush on Snow, but Snow has that Fire Remnant, so he should be fine. He's going to make his way out of there. Diablos is still chasing, uses the Timber Change again with his face. Throws out the Chakram, gets both procs in. Throws out the Whirling Death, but it wasn't pure damage. He didn't clip a tree. He's got to back away before the rotation catches him out. Ensnare's going to fly up from Naga. Never mind, she doesn't have enough mana. She pops a Clarity. Crystal Maiden's going to interrupt that Clarity just to prevent her. Uses that Frost Blast. The Frost Nova, is able to kill off the Ember Spirit in the background, and he should be able to make his way on home. A Blade Spin coming out from Juggernaut, providing a bit of covering fire. Flash wants this kill. He might get it, but he might pay for it with his life. Caught out with the Frostbite. Flash, usually the safest carry farmer. Over in the ODL1, overcommitting. He pops a salve, knowing that he moves faster. Anchor Smash dropped a bit of a panic coming up from him. Yoshi caught up in the Chakram, eating a lot of damage from Diablos. Healing Ward is going to keep him alive, as well as that reactive armor. Song of the Siren, drop on Naga Siren. She just hit level 6. Great recognition from her. She's hanging around. She wants to get a kill over on Diablos. Zeki comes in. Healing Ward Micro comes out, but just isn't quite enough. Zeki drops towards, pushing back Sees the Cheese, burns off his mana pool in the background. Meepo comes in, dukes it out with Yoshi, but Yoshi gets another kill with that Medallion of Courage. MVP. Am I right? DDY picks up his Arcane Boots, so he's able to provide that boost of mana for the rest of his team. 2 Arcane Boots up now. 3 Arcane Boots, never mind. With Snow, he jumps in, catches out Siren Chains on 2. Cogs pushes them back, pushes them away from the tower, as well as from safety. Spooky Scary Skeleton caught out in the ensnare. He doesn't have Ravage. This is the drawback with the Tidehunter. He's a very greedy support hero. Eats a Lucent Beam to the face, pops the Siren Chain, pops one more right click from Naga Siren, and then goes down. That's a tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, going in favor of Team Blink. And Struggle looks like they're falling apart at the seams right now from the aggression coming out from Blink. Their unconventional draft with that Tidehunter as a support hero isn't really paying off all too well. 4,000 gold lead in favor of Team Blink, and in terms of EXP, over 3,000, that's only continuing to climb. Yoshi is level 7 now. He has level 4 Soul Assumption, his Bird's up, and a Medallion of Courage, so he's going to be able to create solo kill opportunities on his own. Naga Siren is level 8, so she has 2 points up in the Ensnare, 4 up in the Riptide. She hurts like hell. And has that Song of the Siren. It's on cooldown right now, but when it's off cooldown, you can use it to cover the rest of your team or to initiate into these fights. Flash has actually been out-leveled by DDY. Funny enough to note, his Eclipse has just gone off cooldown. Most likely will be choosing to max out the Lunar Blessing. He might choose to go for 3 points of Lunar Blessing, then start maxing out Glaives. I know it's a build that pro players like to go for if they start to transition into a farming role. Looks like he's going for that Death Ball Luna, so choosing to go for BKB as their first big item. Not going for the Greedy Drums pickup or the Yasha, as he recognizes he's died and the CS isn't the highest that it could be. Brightside New Zealand farming in the background. He is about halfway to his Aghanim Scepter. Diablo's jumping in, rotates, a triple rotation coming out from players from Team Blink and Yoshi, able to seal the deal to Soul Assumption. That's the power from Team Blink, that coordination and communication. Their supports are always ready to rotate whenever anything happens. Similar to Team Alliance with RK, as well as EGM constantly having TPs and hovering over Loaded to make sure that if he gets dove upon or S4, they can immediately rotate to punish them. Snow hanging around, he's low HP, but with that regeneration rune, he should be fine. He's going to spot out Spooky Scary Skeleton, or maybe he's going to go on Tig Old Biddies and Seize the Cheese. He's 1v3 right now, but he's got DDY and Yoshi coming in from the background. Eats the Omni Slash to the face. He might have actually engaged a bit too far. And Snare Thrown down sees the cheese. Tigglebitties might be able to, he's going to take a fall from the right click damage coming out from the Soul Assumption as well as the Visage Familiars. Never mind, Yoshi's actually out of range. Snow wants this. He's going to keep chasing, wait until his ultimate goes off cooldown. Hookshot comes in from Zeki. It actually catches on the Familiars, kills him with the Slate of Fist, wait until it went off cooldown. Spooky Scary Skeleton being chased out by the Battery Assault. Level 1 Flare. Snow's hanging around. He's going to be able to land that Staring Chain, recognizes, hang on, this isn't my base, I'm diving 2 towers, I don't have my Fire Remnant, I'm gonna back off. Diablos actually gets a kill over on Zeke, he's gonna get a kill on Snow as well. Went a bit too aggressive, he's got Remnant up in 2 seconds, if he could kill him with that Chakram or with the Welling Death, it's all cooldown, he kills him with a triple kill. Fantastic play coming up from Diablos, punishing the over-aggression from Blink. They dove 2 towers up until the tier 3s, they recognize this wasn't their base. And Timbersaw immediately comes in and cuts right through them. That's the power of the offlane Timbersaw, as he provides such high mobility and such high burst damage with the fact that it's pure damage. It cuts right through all resistances. Looks like he's going towards that Bloodstone. He will have it up very shortly. Great item pickup on him as it gives him all the regeneration he needs. Brightside New Zealand looks like he's going to go for a solo gank up on Flash. First hurt by misses, second hurt by misses. Rotation immediately coming out from Yoshi. Flash has Eclipse, so he's not too afraid. But Meepo has 35% magic resistance. Immediately poofs one out. Second one might be caught out. Gonna eat the Lucent Beam to buy him space for Yoshi to catch him up with that Grave Chill. Poofs in the second Meepo. Soul Assumption's gonna seal the deal. Bit unfortunate. He should have poofed the other Meepo as well. Perhaps it was on cooldown, but great play coming out from Flash, recognizing that the 0.65 mini stun coming out from the Lucent Beam would have bought Yoshi enough time to land that Grave Chill and seal the deal. His familiars are hanging around in the middle lane, as they know that's where the majority of the action is going to be happening. They want to keep pushing. Zeki, he's got a point booster. He's building towards his Aghanim Scepter as it decreases the hookshot cooldown to 12 seconds. Fantastic pickup on Clockwork. Means he can use his ultimate to initiate, as well as to pick off stragglers or to escape himself. Probably will be going for something like that Blade Mail as his next big item. This Meepo pick from Brightside New Zealand hasn't really been working out too well. The issue with Meepo is he's a very greedy hero. It's a bit surprising he hasn't chosen to go for Treads, as that's the only way to share stats to your Meepo clones until you get the Aghanim Scepter, is the fact that your Meepos will inherit your boots, and that's the only item they inherit. And therefore it's the only stats they inherit, as the 25% stat share has been removed. So unless you pick up an Aghanim Scepter where you share all of your stats from the main Meepo to the clones, isn't all too much you can do. Ember Spirit hanging around, he's got 3 charges up on this Fire Remnant. Catches out Brightside New Zealand, catches out 2 of the Meepos. Soul Assumption instead, he instantly goes down. Brightside New Zealand hasn't been having the greatest game. Diablos is coming in, he's got his back. Tigglebitties jumps in with the Omni Slash. The majority of the Omni Slash is interrupted by the fact there's 3 heroes as well as the Visage Familiar. Yoshi cops a lot of damage, he's going to go down with one more right click, killed with the Timber Chain, throws out the Ensnare over on Tigglebitties, but Diablos is the one you want to be worried about. Ravage drop just for 1, DDY is going to drop, but he pops a Song of the Siren, cancelling the Freezing Field. He's going to TP on home. Snow is going to be able to TP out as well. Zeki hanging around. They could perhaps turn around for a turnaround kill, as Diablos has no mana, is caught out with a hook shot as well as a few right clicks from Visage Familiars. Yoshi's able to steal the kill.
For the Radiant.
But hey, he's the MVP. Spooky Scary Skeleton, seen dropping that ward, it's going to get instantly dewarded. Double bird drop coming out from the Familiars, and he's going to feed another kill to Siren Chain and to the Slayer Fist and Siren Chain combination. Called out in the cogs, and he's going down. Tigglebitty's hanging around, but Snow had dropped a Remnant preemptively. Sees the Chief's going to take a fall from the Remnants and the Battery Assault. Not too sure what he chose to re-engage back there. They fed away 2 kills that they shouldn't have. And Team Blink really punishing them for it. He's invisible right now, tracking Tigglebitties. Tigglebitties hasn't actually had all too much fun. Catches him out, actually catches him between the Mud Golems and Ember Spirit. So he's forced to use his Face Boots and run his way out. He pops his Blade Spin with the instant it wears off. Snow's hanging around the background, gonna throw out that Searing Chains. Catches him in it, and has that Slate of Fist to finish him off. DDY throws out the ensnare, snaring his corpse, saying, just in case you're thinking you're going anywhere. Yoshi's just picked up his mechanism, so the team fight power is going through the roof. I believe Flash should have his BKB, he almost has it up. Yeah, he's got to fly into him on his career right now. So that's going to negate all the damage coming up from the Meepo. Never mind, he actually hasn't had the best game. He's been playing very defensively. He's got about 1,000 more gold to go before he has that BKB, but he's almost got that level 2 Eclipse, so that's going to be enough to scare people off. Diablos trying to hold off the tail 1 mid push coming out from Snow. Sees the Cheats, want to get that Frostbite, but Yoshi was able to disjoint it temporarily, at least with the Slate of Fist. Diablo's continuing to chase him back, but the Yoshi Familiars are hanging around the middle lane, causing him a bit more damage. Snow throws out Familiar over into the high ground, so he knows that if he keep pushing this way. Diablo's actually caught out of position, throws out the Chakram. He's caught out there with the Instant. He's going to go down. That's the drawback with the Timbersaw, is you can overcommit with the mobility coming out. The rest of your team can't chase you. Hookshot catches out, sees the cheese, and he instantly drops. to the battery assault, as well as the rocket flag coming out from Zeke. He's been absolutely on point with his Clockwork. Both offlaners have been doing a fantastic job in trying to create space for the rest of their team. Brightside New Zealand, 2 of his Meepos, they're both called out with the Siren Chains Play the Fist combination. One poofs out, the second one doesn't, and is called out by the Riptide and goes down. Meepo pickup was very brave, but unfortunately the early deaths that he fed to Snow in the middle lane, as well as that rotation coming in from DDY, and the fact that the tri-lane fell apart, meant that they weren't able to create enough space for the Meepo, as until he picks up his Aghanim Scepter, there isn't all too much he really offers. Meepo needs a lot of gold and a lot of EXP in order to be able to push through into an advantage. He's not going to have a second point up in his ult to level 17. Tiggle Biddy's getting a lot of damage, and Snap throwing out on him, so he's caught in place. Turn around, Spooky Scary Skeleton, Freezing Field drops to provide a bit of covering fire, as well as the Omni Slash. Isn't a high enough level to do all too much damage. Ravages drop, Solar Assumption flies out, kills off Tiggle Biddy. Spooky Scary Skeleton turns around for a Gush, but he's very low HP right now, so he's got to be careful. Mechanism drop, right to New Zealand, TP's it back in. One Meepo, that's 2, that's 3. He turns around, he's going to get a kill over on Zeke. He turns around instead on DDY. Diablos is hanging around. Song of the Siren drop once again, cog blocking both Diablos and Brighton New Zealand from getting kills. They can actually choose to turn around on this. Actually, Naga Siren backing away, out of range for Diablos so that he'd be called out, but Yoshi looks like he's going to take a fall, drops the Soul Assumption, saying from Hell's Breath I stab at thee, even though I'm about to die, I'm going to do some damage, so one of my teammates can clean you up. They aren't there, so Diablos makes his way on home. And Snow limps on back to his base. Crazy engagement happening there, Blink perhaps getting a bit too confident, but of course keep in mind, during all of this, they're fighting 4v5. Flash has been farming this entire time. Ziki actually wanted to hookshot into Flash, but Flash juked him up, perhaps trolling his own teammate. He's picked up his BKB though, so he's ready to fight. He wants to join in the rest of the ruckus that the boys from Blink are up to. Snow could actually go down to neutrals here if he's not too careful. No, he's leashing back their aggro perfectly, so he should be fine. 4.3k, so most likely will be a Desolator pickup on Ember Spirit. Probably the best DPS item he could go for on Ember Spirit. Battle Fury, I guess, in terms of pure mathematics, is more efficient if you do get cleaves off, if you do stack them. But ideally, a Desolator is a much more superior pickup and a much safer pickup. Never mind, looks like Snow's gonna flaunt what I just said. He's going for that Battle Fury. The reason why Battle Fury is a good pickup on Ember Spirit is during your Sleight of Fist, it will mean that they all cleave. But however, that's contingent on the fact that the enemy heroes have to be clumped together for them to be able to receive that cleave damage. Which, I mean, I guess it could happen, especially with that Meepo. I guess in this case it's a counter pick against the Meepo to punish the Meepo for the fact that his his clones will always be clumped around him. Double damage picked up on the Luna. So that's the first Battle Fury. Might choose to go for something like a BKB as that safe pickup, especially against Diablos. It shuts down all Timbersaw's damage. Yoshi goes in a bit too far, but misses that Chakram, so he should be fine with the Familiars there to provide a bit of covering fire. Oh, just gonna take a quick break and a quick pause. Never mind, more action happening. There's no rest for the wicked. Diablos has called out the Grave Shield as well as the Medallion Card. Called out the Slater Fist and the Siren Chain combination. Birds are gonna drop, interrupting his Timber Chain. Yoshi gets a bit of revenge, throwing out that Soul Assumption to seal the deal for Snow. As he's able to secure the kill with the DPS coming out from his Flame Guard. Hookshot flies out, never mind, it misses, but Tiggle, but he's caught out in a bad place. Spooky Scary Skeleton, his Ravage is on cooldown. Oh crap, sorry. Screwed up with my mic there. Never mind. Snow is actually caught way in a position right now. Freezing Field cripples his ability to escape. Tiggle Biddies is called out with that snare down. Goes down. Ravage actually completely whiffs. Only hits DDY and Yoshi. Doesn't catch out Snow he wanted to kill. Snow turns around, Slater Fist him in the face. Sees the cheese, cops a lot of damage. He's going to die to the birds unless if Snow steals the kill with that Slater Fist. Diablos comes to him. He's a bit too late to that party. He wants to kill Yoshi at least. He's caught up in that snare. He's stunned up with the bird drop. Timber chains himself on out, but he's still caught up in the snare as well. Drop Chakram and the Whirling Dash isn't enough. If he had another hero there to tank a bit of that damage, would provide a bit more damage as well. Snow gets a triple kill. Meanwhile, the top tier 2 tower is pushed down by Flash. He hasn't been all too active this game, aside from his dominating performance in that tri-lane, but that's why you pick up a Luna, and there you go, that's that power, that Battle Fury up on the Ember Spirit. You saw the fact that it bounces, the cleave bounced from Meepo clone to Meepo clone with the 2 that were caught out the Siren Chains. There's a lot more damage. Would like to see him pick up a BKB just to safeguard against the Timbersaw, but he could decide, screw it, we're this far ahead, I could just go for another BKB, go for that Dandy Pubstar build, start stacking deep Battle Furies, that drastically increases your DPS. Tiggle Biddy's on the Juggernaut, looks like he's going towards that Vladimir's offering. He hasn't really been all too effective. He's gone for those points up in the Healing Warp, but hasn't had an opportunity to be the push. As he keeps dying, he's caught out for the Slater Fist and Siren Chain combination right now, but Snow goes into 4. He's able to instantly Remnant out. Called out with the Earthbinds. Familiar drops to provide a bit of covering fire, so Yoshi is saying, mate, I got your back. Even if you do decide to play a bit crazy, they clump up and they eat that Slater Fist to the face. All 3 heroes cop a lot of damage. Especially with the fact that Slater Fist adds 120 damage to heroes when you use it. Definitely something that you'd want to be careful for. If only they had a Magnus. Snow pops his arcane boots and backs his way on back home. Just going to do a quick golden EXP check. 15,000 EXP in favor of Team Blink, and 15,000 gold lead in favor of Team Blink as well. Drastically ahead. Yoshi's picked up a gem, so he really wants to strangle the map vision coming up from the wards from Team Struggle. They know they're ahead, they're just going to keep farming, keep getting ahead. Diablos actually timber chain to a close tree. Flash dives in, he pops his Eclipse and BKB. Most of the Eclipse is wasting the creep wave, but with his teammates that support him, especially with Ziki able to jump from that hookshot and catch out the Crystal Maiden, secures the kill with that Rocket Flare. You can't juke out the flare. Snow hanging around. Looks like Flash is caught a bit out of position, but is forced off back home. Tiggle, but he throws out the Omni Slash, but most of it's wasted. Is called out with that hookshot from Ziki, and goes down to one last right click from Snow. He's beyond godlike with that double kill, and that looks like a free tattoo. Perhaps even a GG called by boys over in Struggle. Timbersaw did go for the Bloodstone pickup, but he has died a few times, so he's losing charges. Sees the Cheese saying, what are we doing over in Blink Swamp? They're stuck in that quagmire, they're being beaten down. And being eaten by alligators. Or is it crocodiles? I can never tell which one lives in which. Spooky Scary Skeleton caught out the Siren chain as well as the hookshot. However, the Kraken Shell saves him so he could drop his Ravage. Freezing Field popped over, driving back Flash, but Crystal Man's going to take a fall. Not enough damage coming out. Brightside New Zealand poofs all of his Meepos in, but Song of the Siren immediately catches them out. He's going to try to get a kill over in DDY. DDY pops mirror image, but it's going to go down. Never mind, Yoshi's able to provide that pinpoint precision with that Soul Assumption, choosing the one Meepo that was on low HP instead of the 4 others that are surrounding him. Diablo goes in, gets a cleanup kill over on Yoshi with that Timberchain into the Whirling Death. Timberchain's again, but still frozen. Throws out the Chakram, gets a clip over on Yoshi. Tiggle Biddies with the healing ward, providing a bit of HP, but Ziki hits down, smacks down the ward, and with that Soul Assumption is able to seal the deal once again. Diablos is now out of mana. Called out with that blink, actually gets a Whirling Death kill over on the Naga Siren, but goes down in the end. Back to, he's got 3 charges now, so he gained 1 charge. That's not too shabby. Sees the Cheese going to get called out with the Battery Assault and that Bird Drop. Fire Remnant jumps in, called out in the cogs, he goes down. Ziki gets another kill. Hookshot is actually blocked by Yoshi, but they're able to get a kill with the Lucent Beam over on Tidehunter. Team Blink are just overrunning the boys from Struggle. Been unfortunate, the Goliath at Blink is proving to be too much to bear for the David that is Struggle, and that looks like a free tier 3 as well as a mid lane Rex. Snow is hanging around. He goes in for a Sleight of Fist crit over onto the Meepos. The Meepos are all poofing, but Ziki's able to catch them out with the hookshot. No please called out by Brightside New Zealand as he gets completely massacred by Snow. And that's a free Rex that's going to be happening. There's no way they can defend this without the Meepos there. Yasha picked up on Luna. All of the Meepos getting killed. Diablos runs in with the Blade Nail. He says, come at me, bro. I'm going to do as much damage as I can, but with that BKB, Flash is more than happy to trade with that. The majority of damage is coming out from his Eclipse anyway. They're able to take 3 mid lane Rex, and looks like the boys from Struggle are falling apart. There's no way they could really turn this around. Only level 2 Omni Slash coming out from Juggernaut. All too much to do. It's a Soul Assumption with Lucid Beam to the face. One more right click, and Clockwork's able to seal the deal with that Force Staff and that Battery Assault.
Radiant's middle barracks have fallen.
Mid lane range racks fall into Team Snow. Team Blink, sorry, not Team Snow. Although at this point he is doing enough damage to be able to be considered a team on his own right. With that Chrysalis picked up on Ember Spirit. With the Battle Fury, every time he crits with that Sleight of Fist, he's dealing AoE damage to those Meepos. One of the Meepos is caught out in the cogs. Second one poofs in, dies. Doing a bit of fountain farming happening from Team Blink. They're playing pretty cheeky. Flash picks up his Mantis Style over from this shop over on the Radiant side. Spooky Scary Skeleton drops a Rage Ravage, is called out by the Blink song. GG well players being called. Spooky Scary Skeleton's gonna take a fall. Never mind, GG was called to Spooky Scary Skeleton gets to live. Bottoms were spanked, called out by Seas to Cheese. Was kind of expecting an upset fight. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the boys from Struggle do play some fantastic Dota. Brightside New Zealand is a very talented mid lane player. The rest of his team, they do have some very cool strategies that are happening. But unfortunately, the coordination and the blitzkrieging power coming out from Blink proved to be too much to bear. So they're able to take a 26-minute, 47-second game at 12 for 52. Blink Dota showing off, going in for the founding farming with Snow on that Ember Spirit at 21 for 4 for 16. Diablos was able to make them pay for those dive attempts with his Timbersaw, but just wasn't able to create enough space. The fact they had Tidehunter as well as that Crystal Maiden in their trilane meant that they weren't able to clash against the vastly superior trilane with that Visage as well as that Naga Siren and Luna. So you've got the lockdown from the Naga Siren, the snare from the Visage, and the Soul Assumption and Lucent Beam to finish people off. So that's game number 2. I think that's it for tonight. There are currently 2 other games playing. I believe Insert Name here are playing, and also I think Recursion are playing up against TYK. So I'll see what's happening over there. It might actually be the cast of one of their games. So do stay tuned. I'll see what's happening over on that end. I'll continue to keep streaming if a game's happening. 49 signing out temporarily. Be right back.